Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something that's become absolutely critical for European enterprises: AI governance and EU compliance heading into 2026. We've got Sam with us, and we're going to break down why the era of AI pilots and proof of concepts is basically over, and what companies actually need to do about it.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, this is a fascinating moment. We're seeing this massive shift where boards and compliance officers aren't asking, "Can we do AI?" anymore. They're asking, "How do we do AI safely, measurably, and legally?" And honestly, most enterprises are woefully unprepared for that question.
That's the crux of it. The research is pretty stark, too. Gartner found that 73% of enterprise leaders cite governance and risk management as their top barriers to AI implementation. That's not a technical problem. That's an organizational maturity problem. Why do you think governance has become the main blocker rather than, say, technology or talent?
Because the technology is actually accessible now. You can spin up an AI system relatively quickly. But what you can't do quickly is figure out whether it's compliant, whether it's actually solving a business problem, whether it's creating hidden risks, and whether your board can sleep at night. That's governance. And in Europe, the EU AI Act makes it non-negotiable.
Right. McKinsey's research shows organizations with documented AI governance frameworks achieve 2.3x higher ROI on their AI investments than those without. That's a huge number. But here's what struck me. Only 31% of large European enterprises actually have comprehensive governance structures in place. That's the gap we're talking about here.
Exactly. And that gap exists because governance was never part of the playbook. Traditional IT consulting wasn't built for this. You can't just bolt it on at the end. You need someone who understands AI systems, regulatory requirements, and business strategy all at once. That's where this concept of an AI lead architect comes in.
Let's unpack that. What actually is an AI lead architect? And how is it different from, say, hiring a chief AI officer or bringing in a traditional consulting firm?
An AI-led architect is a fractional role, so you're not hiring someone full-time. You're embedding specialized expertise on a structured, part-time basis. They assess your current AI maturity, design governance frameworks that align with the EU AI Act, help you move from experimental chatbots to actual agentic systems that drive measurable outcomes, and build capability in your team so you can eventually operate independently.
So it's not about bringing in a consultant who writes a 300-page report and disappears. It's ongoing embedded expertise?
Exactly. And there are good reasons why fractional is becoming the preferred model over full-time. First, speed. You don't wait 6 months to hire. You get specialized governance expertise in weeks. Second, regulatory alignment. Someone who actually understands the EU AI Act, GDPR, NIS2, sector-specific rules. And third, cost efficiency. A full-time chief AI officer is expensive, and honestly, the role evolves so rapidly that fractional makes more sense for most mid to large enterprises.
There's also credibility, right? When an external third party comes in and says, "Here's your current maturity level and here's what needs to change," that carries more weight with the board than an internal voice sometimes.
That's underrated. An external perspective often gets heard differently. And in regulated environments, having that independent assessment is actually valuable for audit purposes too. You've got documentation that shows due diligence.
Let's get practical. If I'm a CFO or COO at a European financial services company in early 2026, and I'm realizing we don't have AI governance in place, what does that first engagement actually look like?
You'd start with a maturity scan. We're talking people. Do you have the right skills and decision-making structures? Processes. Do you have workflows for managing AI risk? Data. Is your data quality, provenance, and governance ready? And technology. What's your tech stack? What are you actually running in production? That gives you a baseline.
How long does that scan take?
Typically 4 to 8 weeks, depending on organization size. Then you've got clarity on your biggest gaps. From there, you design a governance framework that's EU AI Act compliant, risk assessment workflows, audit trails, human oversight structures, documentation standards. And crucially, you're not designing this in a vacuum. You're aligning board risk appetite, compliance requirements, and what operations can actually execute.
So you're essentially building a roadmap from "we have some chatbots running" to "we have enterprise-grade AI operations that regulators won't scrutinize." Is that fair?
That's fair, but I'd add one more thing. You're also building organizational capability. One of the biggest mistakes companies make is treating this as a one-time consulting engagement. Instead, you want to be training your internal teams, documenting everything, establishing standards so that when the consultant is less embedded, your teams can carry the momentum.
That's smart. Now, you mentioned the shift from chatbots to agentic AI. That's a theme I'm hearing everywhere right now. Why is that significant for governance?
Because chatbots are relatively contained. You know the boundaries. An agent is different. It's a system that can make decisions, take actions, adapt behavior based on context. That's more powerful, but it also creates more governance complexity. You need clearer risk assessment, better monitoring, tighter audit trails. It's a different beast from a customer service chatbot.
So moving from chatbots to agents isn't just a technical upgrade, it's a governance upgrade too?
Absolutely. In fact, if you don't have the governance infrastructure in place first, moving to agents is risky. You're giving systems more autonomy without the oversight structures to manage it. That's where an AI lead architect comes in. They make sure you design that orchestration carefully.
Let's talk about the EU AI Act specifically. How is that changing the game for enterprises?
The EU AI Act introduces formal categorization of AI systems by risk level. High-risk systems trigger specific requirements around documentation, bias testing, performance metrics, human oversight. That's no longer optional. Financial services, healthcare, manufacturing, these sectors have high-risk AI use cases. The Act says you need documented risk assessment frameworks, training data documentation, audit trails. Enterprises that don't have this built into their operations by 2026 are going to face enforcement actions.
So this isn't coming in the future, this is happening now?
Right. The Act is already in force. Organizations have enforcement timelines. If you're running high-risk AI systems in regulated sectors, you need to be compliant. If you're not, you need a clear roadmap to compliance. That's exactly what an AI lead architect helps you build.
Last question. If I'm an organization that's been slow to adopt AI governance, should I be panicking right now?
Not panicking, but moving with urgency. The good news is that there's a proven playbook now. Organizations with documented governance frameworks are seeing better outcomes, lower risk, and faster adoption velocity. If you start now, early 2026, you have time to mature your structure before enforcement really tightens. Waiting another year would be a mistake.
So the message is, governance isn't a compliance checkbox anymore. It's actually a competitive advantage?
It's both. Yes, it's a competitive advantage because it lets you move faster with confidence, but it's also non-negotiable from a risk and compliance perspective. The organizations that figure this out first will be positioned to scale AI adoption at pace while their competitors are still catching up.
Brilliant. So if you're a European enterprise thinking about AI governance, maturity assessment, or moving toward agentic systems with proper oversight, this is the moment to start that conversation. You can find the full article on this topic at EtherLink AI. There's much more detail on fractional consultancy models, specific governance frameworks, and how EtherMind is helping organizations navigate all of this. Sam, thanks for breaking it down.
Thanks, Alex. Great conversation. Head over to EtherLink AI to dig deeper into the AI lead architect model and EU compliance roadmaps. This stuff is moving fast, and the time to act is now.
That's all from EtherLink AI Insights. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon with more on enterprise AI strategy, governance, and what's actually working for organizations in Europe right now. Catch you next time.